Hello, chat. Today is Friday, January 22nd. Hopefully, you've had a restful and calm week.
We haven't
Today,
slept all week.
today we are finishing up the week with nonsense and security.
Oh, actually, Chris, I failed to mention it's
we
not
have
just
one design story.
one design story, and
Design tragedy, more like.
everybody universally crapped on this. I think. Does anybody like it? But I definitely wanted to get Krista's thoughts on it, which she already gave to me. She shouldn't have done that. She should have saved it so you could witness it, but she ruins it.
Sorry. This is General Motors reveals a new logo, and it is a choice. We were talking about it before. It kind of looks like they're trying to go for like an app logo, but I think part of the reason it doesn't work is it's got this like weird, very small drop shadow, plus the very like 90s kind of gradient on top of it, and it just feels dated. It's so dated.
Why?
Also, the lowercase is kind of like, we're trying to be friendly and hip, but like, again, it's like with the dated look, it just feels like it's trying too hard.
I'm pretty sure in the press release, they did talk about how there was some inclusivity and that type of stuff going on in this design. I don't remember exactly how that works, but I think that's what they were going for.
There was a trend for a while in branding where everyone suddenly changed their logo to be lowercase, and it was because they were trying to be more informal and like appeal to a younger audience. Like Jim got that memo like 10 years too late and then produced something that is using design trends from like 10 years ago.
It's also, they say that the M is supposed to be an electric plug. I
That's
guess
a stretch.
The empty space, I guess, right?
if it's an electric plug, there's no ground. That's not up to code.
As I have learned this week. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get different news. Probably not. But yeah, this is all a bit of a stretch, like a major stretch, I would say. Not great.
It's
I don't know anything about design, and it looks awful to me.
yeah.
I think a lot of it really is just like the filters they've put on it with the gradient and the drop shadow, and it just feels too busy. If they had reversed this and just did it flat, it wouldn't have been anything groundbreaking, but it probably would have been received a little bit better than this did.
That would still be awful as a flat color. It's everything about. There is not one redeeming feature about that logo. I'll fight you if you argue that. Well, back to the Capitol, as we are dragged back with every episode of this news because it really just dominated the news cycle. And technology is tied up with everything we do these days. So how do we tie this in? Well, we actually know a lot about the rioters or insurrectionists or patriots or ever how you want to describe them, whatever team you're on. We know exactly where they were because, of course, their phones were spying on them.
Parler users breached deep inside the U.S. Capitol building, GPS data shows. This is on gizmodo.com. So that's a social network that didn't strip any metadata out of images and videos and stuff like that uploaded. Your phone can't wait to add GPS tags to things.
Well, I don't know that this was ever supposed to be accessible to the user. What happened is somebody scraped all of Parler.
Well, I mean, that wasn't really well built to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's part of me, and this is going into conspiracy territory, so I'm sure we'll get comments on it. There's part of me that almost wonders if Parler was just a honeypot the entire time with how easily it was hacked. But
certainly, there have been people, I don't know if it's actually shaken out yet, but there have been people who are claiming we are going to identify all of you and we're going to get you fired and, get your everything turned off and blah, blah, blah.
That's certainly happening.
So, yeah, whether it was through poor programming or them just being too data hungry or whatever, the end result is the same. You were in bad shape if you were on Parler. Because even if you were on Parler, just saying non-political things, doing positive things in the world, just now having been associated with that is going to be a black mark.
Well,
Yeah.
you also had to have like, I think they required your social security number and like your driver's license number just to register it. It's like all that's been leaked. And
Oh yeah.
pro tip, don't give that out willingly.
Having
Good.
Parler could be bad for your safety. I mean, not anymore. You can't get it. But that's not the only thing that could be bad for your safety because of the backlash against the backlash that caused the Parler backlash. There's a backlash.
Amazon and Facebook staff warned of threats to safety. It's like, do you work for Facebook or Amazon? You might be the target of an unhinged, angry person.
If I worked for Facebook, I wouldn't tell anybody. If I worked for Facebook and somebody was like, what do you do for a living? I would say, I play piano in a whorehouse. Because I would be prouder of that.
Have you seen, scroll down in this article, there's like a screenshot of a video of the people trying to break into the chamber. Have you seen the version of that image where it's like, we're trying to contact you about your home's extended warranty or your car's extended warranty? I love that picture.
Oh, the GIF, yeah, where they're like smashing it with a fire extinguisher or something.
Is that in the video? We don't have that. Oh, you're talking about the Parler one?
No. There's a video here in the article where they're showing people breaking in.
No,
But there's another version of it where like they've recaptioned it as we're trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty.
Yeah. So much
It's
spam.
a meme. Yeah. There's a lot of good, I mean, listen, it's terrible what we saw last week, but there were a lot of good memes that came out of it.
That's almost always the case of tragedy.
Yeah.
Got to keep yourself sane somehow, right?
Might as well laugh so you don't cry.
Although, how far are we away from it's like, we found out that you made a meme about this terrible tragedy, you'll be destroyed.
That's insensitive.
Amazon Ring. Now, this, you might be thinking, you guys already did this story.
We did, in fact, do the story.
We did several stories about this, but it just keeps happening.
I remember over a year ago that I pointed out that, hey, Ring is exposing your exact address through the API. And I just assumed that other people knew that.
Well, at least some of them didn't because they were surprised enough to write this article.
Amazon's Ring Neighbors app exposed users' precise locations and home addresses. A security flaw within the Ring Neighbors app was exposing the precise locations and home addresses of people who had posted to the app. So this is the old, well, it doesn't show up in the application, but somebody got to looking at the network dumps and said, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot more columns in this table that the API exposes than the UI exposes, including your exact address.
And that's a problem because you might be posting in that neighbors thing to be like, hey, there's some suspicious activity. And we're not going to be home tomorrow. Can you guys keep an extra watch? And somebody over there in Ukraine is like, oh, they're not going to be home tomorrow.
I'm going to go on the local Craigslist and try to hire a criminal to break into your house.
So, wow. If you're still rocking Ring at this point, what's wrong with you?
My aunt and uncle have one and they love it. My mom's like, are you sure I shouldn't get one? And I'm like, don't do it. I know you can leave video messages from my aunt and uncle. You don't need that functionality.
Well, I guess, is there a point if you're an older person and your life is, the whole advertising thing just doesn't impact you anymore, could you make an argument that it could be okay for some people to buy a Ring? I don't know. I mean, you're also affecting your neighbors. That's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think there's a good reason ever to do it. Well, this is a rare security story that is a positive, and it's only a positive because of the many stories we did before this story that has forced the hand of the evil empire.
Apple removes the feature that allowed its apps to bypass the macOS firewalls and VPNs. Apple's official explanation for this was, some of the apps that we bundle with macOS, we didn't have a chance to rewrite them using the new network stack, so we just let those apps bypass the firewall.
But if I was a developer for your platform, did I also get that grace period?
No.
Oh. Seems like you would be more suited to doing that than I would as a third-party developer, and yet I have to deal with it.
Yeah. Oh, Apple giveth and Apple taketh away.
In terms of hacks and exploits and stuff like that, we see them every week, obviously. Some are pretty basic, and they're just counting on volume. Some are incredibly sophisticated, and it leaves you wondering Who did this and why?
Google reveals a sophisticated Windows and Android hacking operation. The attackers used a combination of Android, Chrome, and Windows vulnerabilities, including both 0 days and in-days exploits. So this started with the font rendering problem, and from there kind of escalated. There were unknown to Google 0 days that were in use here, in addition to the font vulnerability. So this is one of those situations where multiple vulnerabilities are chained together, and each one by themselves maybe is not super serious, but when you chain all of them together, you can break out of your sandbox, you can break free into the host operating system, and that gets bad fast.
And that almost sounds like it's somebody who has one of those NSA style caches, where it's like, oh, let's just take everything out of the toolbox and build what we need.
Oh, Lord.
And how big is that toolbox?
This is going to be this is like foreshadowing for if we ever do build, like what we're doing right now with AI and GPT-3, that's never going to be sentient. But if we ever build a sentient AI or some sort of super AI, we're not going to be able to contain it. And this is why. This is foreshadowing for why, because it's going to look at Windows and it's going to be like, wow, this thing's holier than Swiss cheese. Let me just let myself out here.
How about this? Imagine this scenario. And this is a very real future world we could live in. That AI has, it's like it started to learn and it started to get in different places, but it knows enough not to reveal itself. So it's like the SolarWinds thing. It's just like waiting patiently, and then boom, the CIA required backdoor gets leaked.
Oh, no.
And now the AI has a way to get in anywhere it wants.
Thanks, Attorney General, former Attorney General Barr.
Over in Germany, they are cracking down on unauthorized transactions on the internet by taking down yet another giant darknet target.
German investigators shut down big darknet marketplace. Oh, it goes far beyond that. They really did a good job. It was a months-long probe by U.S. authorities, but the Germans got it done. 170 million euros were exchanged.
Often when you talk about these kinds of things, I default to, it's like, hey, man, just the drug war, it's stupid. These people just want to buy their drugs. We could solve this whole problem if you would just get out of the way. But then it's like, oh, they were also doing like the murder for hire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Selling like revenge porn and stuff. And it's like, well.
500,000 users.
So that's unfortunate. This used to be hosted in that bunker that they had. I guess they moved it after that, but I think they might have already compromised it at that point. That's the scary thing about these kind of places. You never know the point where you're doing business with security organizations and FBI and CIA and that kind of stuff. Remember Elizabeth Holmes? God, how long ago was that?
It feels like ages ago.
Not long
Ages.
enough.
Well, she's still bouncing around through the legal system because obviously everything was slowed down this year. But we are starting to get some notes about how the prosecution is going. It seems like it's going pretty well because if you wanted a piece of smoking gun evidence, this one the smoke might not be coming off of it, but it's warm.
Theranos destroyed crucial subpoenaed SQL blood test database. Can't unlock backups, the prosecutors say. So I don't know. It seems like there could be a plausible, innocent explanation for this, or her lawyers are just brilliant. So not Theranos, but the Balwani guy. He had a friend that had an IT company, and they were paying him monthly to do stuff.
$150,000 a month.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
to
venture
manage
capital
a
money.
database.
And so the prosecutors were like, we need a copy of that. So, all right, they made a copy of it and they delivered it. The problem is that this thing is so complicated that you can't really make sense out of it unless you've got all the software and the whole stack of applications to run it. Well, the backup that they provided one of the passwords, but not all of the passwords necessary to do something with it, because the database, I guess, had its own password, and then there was a password on the backup. And they provided the password for the backup, but they didn't provide the password for the SQL database. They also didn't provide any of the software or anything else that runs on top of it. So you look at it, and it's just like, oh, there's 2,000 tables, and there's not really any relationships defined, and it's like, oh, what's going on with this? So all of the infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure and stuff like that they were providing was shut down. And 2 days after everything was destroyed, the lawyer sent an email to the provider that was like, wait, the feds might want this. You should totally preserve it. And the guy sent back is like, yeah, but 2 days ago we already destroyed everything. So, oh well.
He just sent back LOL whoops.
Yeah.
Now, they do have those backups that have passwords on them, but craziest thing, nobody remembers.
And and the prosecutors have tried to hire experts to like figure out the password or guess the password or deal with it, and they seem to be SOL.
I did not include the story. I meant to. I forgot. Did you see the headline? There's a guy who has an iron key, and
oh yeah, the $200 million,
$220 million worth of Bitcoin on it. He has 2 guesses left.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel nervous for him just thinking about that. Like my palms just got sweaty.
It is. He's willing to share 10% if you can get the coins out.
Eventually they will, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of time, but he might have to wait like 5-10 years. That would be rough. You think that could you find like a wealth management company where it's like, okay, I'm just going to give this to you. You're going to give me half. Good luck. Go get them.
Yeah, you probably could. There's probably somebody that'll make that deal today.
Well, SolarWinds, we just keep getting headlines, and based on whatever all the security experts have said, we can expect this just from now on. I mean, we're just going to keep uncovering how bad it was. But the big question is, who do we blame? And maybe we have some new clues.
SolarWinds malware has curious ties to Russian-speaking hackers. Similarities could prove a link, or it might be part of a false flag operation. You don't know.
So they found not the exact same helper functions, but very similar ones that used some of the exact same snippets of code. So they're like, it's probably the same person, but maybe not. Who knows? We were blaming Russia before we had any evidence, so
Yeah.
what's changed here? The United Nations is quick to tell governments, mostly smaller governments, but even some of the big ones, what they're doing wrong and how they should do things better. Maybe they should look in the mirror.
Researchers test UN cybersecurity and find data on 100,000 employees. Oh, no. Yeah, it was just wide open. It was so bad that they don't even know if these researchers were the first people to find this because there's not enough logs or data or anything. So this data set may already be in the wrong people's hands.
How about the most terrifying thing here is 100,000 people, more than 100,000 people work for the United Nations?
Well, there's a lot of countries, and then, there's embassies, and then every country needs an embassy for every other country. It gets weird.
But that's not under the umbrella of the United Nations.
Not at all.
Oh, they're their own.
But you have to, the UN has to keep an eye on all those people.
You got to spy on all those embassies. Ubiquiti. I know. Do you have a UI.com account?
Oh, yeah.
So you've already done this, right?
Yep.
When did you get your email?
I actually saw the press release before the email came.
Oh.
Ubiquiti tells customers to change their passwords after a security breach. Data for UI.com accounts was accessed in a mysterious data breach. No, we've got it's going to be in the next Ingenious video. I've got a Ubiquiti access point that we bought on Amazon, and they won't honor the warranty on it because we bought it on Amazon. And it's like, but
did you buy it new?
Yeah, I don't know I don't think we bought it. I think now Ubiquiti sells directly on Amazon. I don't know if they did when we bought it, but I looked at the paperwork and I can't tell if it was a third-party seller or Amazon.
Amazon does a good job to kind of hide that.
Yeah. But I think you can still buy Ubiquiti gear not from Ubiquiti on Amazon, which, based on my RMA experience, means that you're not getting a warranty.
So that's not the hardware that they're talking about here. This is just the accounts on the website.
But cloud management, cloud key, that's kind of a big part of their whole.
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's not bad.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It's just, if you've got a wireless router and you're like, oh God, it's not that.
Yeah, you need to, and you'll probably also just go ahead and enable two-factor. Just go ahead and get it done.
At the time, 2021 is time for that.
Yeah.
Now, we saw a lot of ransomware in 2020, and in some cases, it was really, disgusting because of what people were going through, and all of a sudden they were getting ransomware. And these little towns who were getting crushed by the lockdown are like, oh God. Or the voting stuff, they were going after that. But in some cases, especially the FBI and stuff like that, they were like, no, do not pay this. Because if you pay this, it only gets worse. And I think some companies were actually talking, it's like, maybe we should stand up. So if you're a ransomware person, How do you convince a company that has a policy against paying ransomware to pay ransomware? You get creative.
Some ransomware gangs are going after top execs to pressure companies into paying. That's the headline, but that's not all of what this article talks about. It also talks about how the bad guys try to convince the CEOs or the executives that the tech people are lying. Like, they'll just posture and be like, we've got all this data, and they'll, like, cherry pick a few things, and you don't really know if they have that data or not, or if they're just telling you they do. So, criminal's gonna criminal.
I love this stock photo.
How much?
He looks so concerned.
It's got to be true that a lot of top execs of big tech companies have some skeletons, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I always hate it when you're in a situation with somebody like that, and, like, you explain to them, like, okay, you misunderstand the situation. Like, this is the situation. This is what actually happened. But they're just so convinced in their own mind that they just ignore all of the other stuff. And it's like, well, I mean, you can think that if you want, but that's not really what this was.
Are you describing politics?
Yeah. I guess in a way it is.
I was thinking more of all the times where, like, you send 6 months of emails explaining all the times you told them this was going to end up this way. And then they're like, no, that's not what happened. I'm like, no, it's literally documented there in the emails. This is exactly what happened.
If we do this, it's going to bring a lot of people to the website. It's like, no, it's going to bring bots to the website. You're literally incentivizing people to rip you off. That can't possibly happen. And then, a year later, how did this happen? Well,
it sounds like you guys are talking about the same thing you were talking about last week.
No, not that one. Another one. But yeah, that one would also fit.
Well, speaking of things that we're seeing again, and in a record short time, if those of you who watch religiously will remember, and you might be thinking, hey, you already did this story. Nope, this is a different one. And imagine you're somebody who was like, oh, man, let me find another one.
And you found another one. Yeah.
Here it is again.
Slot First, that's the name of the app. Leaked location data shows another Muslim prayer app is tracking users. Slot First is the name of it. More than 10 million downloads, and it sold location data to Predico, I don't know, which is linked to the U.S. contractor which works with ICE. So literally Immigrations and Customs is funding development of these apps.
Now, if we found out that ICE was using religion as a column in their data set, that's got to be illegal, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is absolutely illegal. Ron Wyden, where are you? Get on that.
So, yeah, I honestly... And I'm not going to pretend to understand religion, but in my mind, why do I need an app to remind me of the most important thing in the world, according to...
No, I'll tell you how they're doing an end run around that. It's not like religion M. It's data source. And it's like, oh, Slot First. Yeah.
No, but I mean, why do I need this app?
Yeah, if you're a Muslim, I would think, like, I can understand, maybe needing the reminder, but why not just set one on your phone? Like, alarm. Like, I set an alarm to go to church, an alarm to go pray. Like, what? Why would you need an app for it?
Might also be useful to determine the direction of Mecca, although you could probably do that with a compass as well.
Honestly, Krista, my alarm to go to church is God's will in my heart. We love talking about black holes because Krista's afraid of them, which is unreasonable, but never ceases to amuse me. And Krista... Did you know that black holes can just keep growing?
Yes,
they can become more powerful than you can ever imagine. And now we've learned a bit more.
Most distant quasar discovered sheds light. I messed that up. Most distant quasar discovered sheds light on how black holes grow. I think I might have read this at a different website, maybe, or maybe it was a different one. My favorite part of the other article that I read, I think it was like Science. There was a picture of what they thought was like the black hole or like whatever this phenomena is, and it was just a black image. And then it had a caption under it. I was like, what? Are you really putting this in the article as like a real thing? But this one actually has real images.
They've clearly got a picture of it here, and when you mouse over it, it gives it like a little HDR effect. I think it's actually just a white filter on top of it.
I think this seems to be saying that this quasar is so old that it would have had to have been very new when the universe was new, And that means that it has to have formed in a way that we don't understand. So like we had to go from like Big Bang to black hole. There's no star, intermediate step.
Well, we thought it was like a collision of black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like aggregating. But this one would argue against that.
Yeah.
So who knows, Krista?
That image is mesmerizing, though, on this article.
Is that like the call of the void? Do you feel
The call that's like the perfect way to describe it. Like, I want to go in the black hole.
you want to become
I want to be
a space
spaghettified.
noodle? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I do
why
too.
these sort of images are so dangerous. Maybe that's why the science website article just had a black image, because they're like, it's too powerful. We
It's too
can't let people
dangerous.
know.
People might try to fly into space and go there, which is like a billion light years away.
But they might try it, and we can't be responsible.
That might be one of the things, like there's like with conventional technology or any known technology, even if you were traveling the speed of light, there are certain places that you will just never reach because it's expanding faster than you'll ever reach.
Yeah.
I don't think that you understand how fast I drive my spaceship.
Gotta go fast.
We're all wearing masks, at least most of us are, and it's just kind of a way of life at this point. I mean, it's just what we do these days.
Store.level1text.com. Look at these. These are pretty nice. They're pretty swanky.
They are pretty nice, but they're not this nice. Now, if you really have some money burning a hole in your pocket and you got to have the latest and you want to be judged poorly by everyone you meet, because I guarantee if you go around looking like this, you will be, pick up one of these.
Razer has created a concept N95 mask with RGB and voice projection. Yeah, you got to check out the article there because, woo, boy, howdy.
The key word is concept.
Right. This is not for sale. They have not priced them yet.
My question with this is, like, how does it maintain the N95 rating? Because with N95s, like, they eventually start to lose their efficacy, and like you have to either like bake them or just change them out entirely.
The little like vents there, I imagine there's filters in there you can swap.
Yeah. It's like a paint filter. If they design this well, they used a filter that's commonly available at your local hardware store.
And there you go, Project Hazel. Now, one thing that I have noticed about the masks that they thought about here is I can't tell who's talking to me or what they're saying sometimes. These are actually transparent, so you can still see their mouth behind there.
I think they should have gone with the RGB lips.
I guess they didn't read the Korea story last week.
Oh, yeah.
People don't necessarily want that. What if you could have a transparent display that just puts a more attractive mouth on you?
Oh,
I like the LED ones.
This says that when the filters need to be changed, they envision you're notified via an app. So like,
Of course.
what if you're like at the grocery store and like you're in the middle of your grocery run, your monthly grocery run, and it's like, ding, 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 you need to change your filter. Do you just like panic and run out? Or?
You fall to the ground, clawing at your throat. No.
You go full cheese counter when that happens.
I just panic. What do I do?
No, I mean, as somebody who's used those masks, like the cartridge filter masks, like doing a paint in a really enclosed space, the filter definitely lets you know when you need to change it. You don't need an app. You don't need an indicator. It's like, I'm not breathing anymore.
It's like when you hear the ductwork start to move around a little bit when the HVAC kicks on. It's like, I should change the filters. Might be getting a little clogged up.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to show you the headline on this one.
This is one of those things where we hope the character recognition doesn't pick it up.
Yeah.
You're now mine. Hacker locks internet-connected Chastity cage and demands a ransom. The response from the company was, "Oh yeah, we fixed that in the newest version of the app. Be sure you update." But this apparently either happened or is fake news. But mostly probably happened.
The guy said he wasn't wearing it.
Oh, okay.
He got an email, and it was like, oh, that's weird. And then he went to try to unlock it, and he couldn't. But it wasn't on him. He stored it closed.
Good thing he wasn't wearing it.
Now, we did this. This has been a story before. Not this exact story, but this. I don't know if it's the same device, but it looks the same.
Yeah, and in that story, the company was just like, we can't afford to fix this.
Right, yeah. But I have a better understanding now because the guy explained it in the story. So I thought this was supposed to prevent me from having intercourse. But no. This is designed to cause incredible amounts of pain if you get an erection. So the whole idea is like you put this on and someone dominates you, but you can't get any release until they.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Why would you want that, folks? I don't understand it. I'm not trying to judge you. I just can't understand it. Fallout 76. Fallout 76 is free now on the Microsoft subscription, I think. And I had zero motivation to even look at it. Who cares? But it turns out some people are still in there, and they're still, not only are they playing the game, but they are role-playing. They're organizing outside of the game. And that is causing its own problems.
Facebook suspends Fallout 76 Free States Militia RP group again. Group of Fallout 76 role players have once again found themselves suspended from Facebook. Members of the Free States Militia logged in a few days ago to find you can't comment until February 7th. You have posted things that don't follow our community standards more than once.
So these guys actually, this is not the first time this has happened. And they were like, yeah, this happened before. We took militia out of the name so you wouldn't find us again. And after the Capitol thing, they found them again. They vowed to leave Facebook over this. It's amazing. It's not amazing that this happens because obviously the algorithm's going to have false positive. What's amazing is there is no recourse after it happens.
Yeah.
You can't just go and be like, can you just take 5 seconds and realize what happened here?
No.
You can't. They
won't give you 5 seconds. They literally will not give you 5 seconds.
But one man who will give you 5 seconds, in fact, he'll give you way more time than that. But he won't do much while he's giving it to you. He will give you the bare minimum during that time, and for some reason, people seem to love it.
Rent-a-person who does nothing in Tokyo receives endless requests and gratitude. A 37-year-old Tokyo man who says he rents himself to other people to do nothing has been inundated with gratitude from Twitter users, indicating people are happy with his new form of support. So there were some examples there. He went with a lady to file divorce paperwork. He was just physically there. He went drinking and eating with another person, which is something that it says he may do.
I think there was a hospital visit.
Visit.
They were really weird about going. Krista, this could be a cheese counter companion for you.
It seems kind of. It says rent a person who does nothing, but I think it's more like rent a friend.
Right, but he makes it clear that his activities are limited to, like, he will eat or drink, but that's about as far as he'll go. He'll talk to you, he'll walk with you, he'll eat or drink. But if you were like, hey, could you grab that box? He's going to be like, hey, well, look, I'm not here for that.
I'm not here.
Yeah.
Let's hire a mover. I'm not a mover.
He's looking at $97 per session.
That's
and I
insane.
Guess if you could, or 96, I'm sorry. If you could pull out 5, 6 of those a day,
yeah,
make a living. Seems like other people are trying to get in on it, though. What do you think the price in a efficient market? What does the price come down to?
Like $10 an hour,
probably less.
But I think though, like the key to some of his success is like all the people in this article are talking about how he doesn't judge them. He doesn't really talk very much. Like I think that's a hard thing to do.
Well, the one guy mentioned it was nice to have the companion, and he knew he could talk to him, but he didn't want to talk to him. And that guy was fine either way. He was just there.
I want to know. This would be an interesting movie. Like follow this guy around, but then like the whole time you don't know what he really thinks about anything.
Yeah, they did say that he was really good at just being sort of non-committal but supportive.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any extreme opinions or anything like that, any crazy stances. Now, I'm going to have to admit something embarrassing here. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of the English language. I thought a sea shanty was a structure.
Not necessarily.
I also thought that.
Does it also
when we
apply
talked
to that,
about the
though?
Minecraft.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel better about that then. In this case, that's not what they're talking about.
Not just for drunken sailors, how sea shanties took over TikTok. If you haven't seen some of these, you got to check them out because I would have never thought TikTok would produce something so interesting.
Do I really have to check it out?
Yeah, it's kind of good. The dude that's in like the knit sweater was like, but then they just kept going. So like I saw it when it was at like the dude in the knit sweater stage, but then it just kept going, and so it's really interesting.
I One of my favorite things about the modern music technology, Spotify in particular, Google Music was not good at this, is finding covers of songs I like, usually done in like a stripped down manner like this. Because there are some fantastic covers of, like songs I grew up with. One of my favorite ones right now, and this is not like a rare find or whatever, but for those of you who've never heard of it, Dolly Parton's Stairway to Heaven. It's amazing. It's a little overproduced. It's overproduced
it's like trending
at the end.
right now.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen other people talking about it.
Is that why Spotify wanted me to see it?
Maybe, yeah. Unless you listen to a lot of Dolly Parton. Otherwise.
No, I don't. And I don't really even listen to that much Led Zeppelin. But I do listen to a lot of covers. And Spotify knows that. If you build a playlist of just acoustic covers in Spotify, it'll recommend more of them. It's amazing. That algorithm. Anyway, sea shanties are probably not going to go on my playlist.
You don't know that.
I mean, I don't have a desire to listen to them over and over again, but I'm watching them and it's like, wow, these people have really excellent control of their voice.
There's a lot of subjects on the Level 1 news that I will take your advice on. This is not one of them.
That's fine.
Considering your whole complete inability to process music.
Yeah, I don't know. maybe the sea shanties are tickling whatever dysfunctional piece of my brain is there.
That's the genre you've been waiting for. Well, Krista, we all know that you love mushrooms. If you get the new house, or when you get the new house, let's be optimistic, are you going to think about growing some mushrooms?
I actually was looking into that the other day. I was looking at oyster mushroom kits. Apparently, they're one of the easiest ones to grow, in a small space. But I don't know. I think I've heard a family friend of ours tried to grow oysters, and she had mixed results with it. But I don't know. I might try it.
I've read a little bit about it, and apparently keeping things sterile is a big challenge because any other kind of organism that gets in there could mess it up.
Yeah, we'll colonize your colony. So yeah, I don't know how effective that would be, but I would be willing to try it.
Well, when you do, I know one thing that you need to avoid.
A man injecting himself with magic mushrooms. A man injected himself. I can't read today. A man injected himself with magic mushrooms and the fungi grew in his blood, which led to organ failure.
He's not dead, but he's on antivirals for the next 6 or antifungal
yeah,
for the next 6 months or so.
Now here's a pro mushroom user tip. Whatever that process is, it's not direct blood brain. It needs to go through your liver, I think. So this will not get you high. Don't do this.
That's actually why certain types of mushrooms are lethal, because they will clog up the ducts, I guess, in your liver, and that causes organ failure as well.
I imagine that is a bad way to go.
Yeah.
It is not good. That's when they start seeing weird signs of that in your liver, the first thing they'll ask, have you eaten any weird mushrooms lately?
So
it's ammoniousness that will cause
day.
Death angel is what they call it.
Well, with a name like that, who could resist it?
Well, so I guess the reason there's so many poisonings from that particular kind is on the West Coast, they grow all over the place. And they look very, very similar to a type of white mushroom that grows in Asia that is edible. So you have a lot of immigrants coming from Asia, and then they're like, oh, this is the same thing that I ate back home. And then they fix it, and then they get sick. So don't ever trust a mushroomer from a different part of the world, even if it's just a few states over. Always try to find a local teacher.
Krista, you could have stopped at don't ever trust a mushroom.
That's true.
It's words to live by. Well, vaccination. That's a thing that's happening, and it seems to be happening very poorly in this country. Who could have seen that coming?
Sad panda.
Everyone just kind of feels sad for a minute about the state of our healthcare system.
Store.level1.com.
Which we don't have the vaccine for sale there. I'm sorry.
No.
But there is, in this country, it's not, right now, I don't think it's a matter of people not wanting it. It's a matter of the bureaucracy just completely failing to roll it out. But in other parts of the world, there's a lot more skepticism. I mean, we've got our fair share, but it seems like there's even more in places like Indonesia. So what can you do to make your people accept it?
Instagram influencers are a vaccine priority in wary Indonesia. So influencers are going first.
Not because it's special treatment, but because they hope that by seeing that, people will line up and follow the influencers.
Imagine like being the healthcare worker there, and it's like, I've been watching people die for months. I've gotten sick like twice, and then you're sitting here jabbing a needle into an arm of someone who literally gets to work from home all day.
I have an 80-year-old mother who's at risk, but no, I'm giving this to someone with a face tattoo.
Well, he's got 1 million followers on the Instagrams.
It's a dark timeline. Maybe it'll be effective. I don't know. It's sadder to me that people are that gullible that they would just do something because they saw an influencer do it, not because.
Store.level1text.com.
Do you think we're influencers? I don't know if we can qualify.
Maybe in a minor way.
I was thinking of a much darker spin on that had to do with events in the U.S. Not that long ago. It's like if somebody just went on and said random things, do you think an army of people would show up?
But I really do believe that it's not so much that. It's that those people wanted to do that anyway. Like they were looking for any excuse. I'm not saying that, it's okay that politics comes to this, but I also don't think that they would have been easily discouraged.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Actually, we found out yesterday, didn't we?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. It's still the 15th in our reality.
Now, this headline, this is Hot 97. This is like a popular ethnic radio station, urban radio station. And I have to call them out because there were not enough details in this story. Did you?
No clue.
I'm left with so many more questions and more horrified after having read it.
Engagement challenge. The headline from this radio station is Black Twitter very disturbed at Azalea Banks digging up her dead cat Lucifer and cooking it. And
let me just say, it's not just Black Twitter. It's all of Twitter.
Well, there's no such thing as Black Twitter. If we want to come together as a country.
Engagement challenge?
So apparently she really did do this, but there is no explanation as to why.
Mental disorder?
Is that legal?
There's an update on this story because I looked it up. Azalea Banks is now turning her dead cat Lucifer's jawbones into earrings.
Oh, so she wasn't going to consume it. She was just cleaning the bones?
Oh. That's still kind of...
Still very weird.
They boiled the dead cat in a disturbing Instagram post.
Right, yeah. I couldn't imagine boiling my little guys. Even if they were dead.
Yeah, that's just strange.
So odd.
Is that the new trend? Pet bone? Oh my God. How many little dogs are going to die in China? If
To
we
do
start?
that.
Yeah.
Oh. At least maybe they'll eat them first. Although that's... what country is that?
Thailand?
Can't remember.
And China. Happens in China too.
Oh, they do that in China, right? Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking that wasn't the case. The wet markets. I guess they'll be back. You think they'll give us pangolin bone jewelry?
Apparently, this is not the first time she's done this kind of thing. As I read another article that had some more details, that's strange.
Another pet was boiled?
No, it mentions that posted something else a couple years ago when she was like, "Yeah, I practice witchcraft," and then she opened up a closet. She opened up a closet in her house, and they're saying there was just blood and guts and feathers in there. So I don't know.
Imagine being a cat. It's like, oh, I'm so excited to get adopted. And then you see the voodoo closet. Like,
Did you see who's picking you up? And you're like,
that's not the voodoo closet. That's just the owlery. It was feeding time.
Well, here's a headline that you don't want to see. This is a real failure because if you are hired for anti-discrimination, one of the last things that you want to do is to go online and post discriminatory things.
NYPD anti-discrimination chief retires amid inquiry into racist online posts. It's like, oh, they found that. Oh, well, I guess it's time to retire.
So I thought this was going to be less obvious, but no, it turns out this person thought they were anonymous.
Yeah,
but
they were not.
Pro tip, people, we've said it before, never assume you're anonymous on the internet. And Turns out it was some pretty in-your-face stuff. It was anti-LGBT and anti-black and anti-Asian.
And it's not like the terms in the article as I scroll down. It's like, no, that's pretty far beyond the pale.
No, it was very clear. It was very black and white.
Yeah.
To use a pun, it was very black and white what happened here. And to be the real question is, how did you get to that position with that attitude? There had to be some other indicator, right? Couldn't somebody have figured that out?
He was probably the least terrible choice.
Wow.
I mean, really.
Do they not have anyone who creeps on social media on their hiring department? Because we do that.
Well, I think this happened after the fact. So maybe they were okay up until that point. I don't know.
It's weird.
Krista, you have a dog, and you were constantly having to walk your dog. We've also learned that you don't pick up the dog's poop every time.
Not every time. If it's near the house, I do. If it's like out kind of in the shrubs, I don't.
But the big question is, how
and
long
if it's
is
in
it?
someone else's yard, like if we're walking around the neighborhood, it always gets picked up. But
Don't try to justify
our yard
that.
doesn't.
You're a
Sorry.
non-poop picker upper, Krista. That's you will always be that.
In certain contexts, it's true.
But the question is, Krista, when is the last time that you walked your husband?
When was the last time I walked Ryu? It's been cold this
No,
last week.
no, not Rue. Your husband.
Oh. Never.
Wow.
He exercises himself.
He needs to be walked, Krista. He needs to be taken care of. I don't know what you're thinking.
Quebec couple fined $3,000 for wife walking husband on a leash after curfew. There's a picture here. Oh, it's his actual couple, not picture. That's a bummer.
So
that's something.
There's a curfew. You can't go out for any reason except to walk your dog. So they were like, we got the perfect solution.
I don't know. I mean, it's not a dog, but he might have needed to be walked. What would you do, Krista, if you came home one day and he was already collared up and he had the leash and he was like, all right, I'm into this.
I was like, are you referencing a 30 Rock skit? Because there is a 30 Rock skit about this. I wonder if these people are just genuinely into some sort of strange fetish, or if this is just their way of getting around the curfew and they thought that it would really work.
Why not both?
Yeah, maybe.
That's a long way to go to get around the curfew, don't you think?
It
If you're
is
the guy.
a long way. Yeah.
Oh, well. When it comes to national security, a lot of people are more concerned than ever. And we actually even have some stuff going on where it's like, wait a minute, you're taking the power away from the president without any sort of legal things going on there? You're just kind of deciding that?
Are you saying corporations control this country? What?
Well, not just that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like the nuclear codes.
That's just how we go today.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's an outrage mob. Haven't you heard? Well, this story does show how much one man can cause a problem, even when he's not the highest position of power in the country.
The headline is, "My sexual greed made me betray my nation," reveals honey-trapped man in Rajasthan. So how far does one man go for nudes? Well, quite a long way.
Turns out, revealing military secrets over and over and over. In fact, he was trying to dig up more intel to trade for more nudes because he was quite addicted to them.
You think the NSA's done that here and the results were just so horrifying that they were just...
Here's the thing I don't understand. Is OnlyFans blocked where he is?
That's what I say. I mean, if you really want that kind of content, it's not hard to find.
Yeah, and it can be personalized to you. There is a glut of, like one-on-one type pornography out there these days. It's a revolution.
And what's kind of hilarious about this dude is like he keeps doing it over and over. Does there ever like a point when that's happening where he's like, it's weird that this woman doesn't want cash or like to meet up. All she wants is government secrets. Should that be a red flag to me?
But not only that, she was like, you need to go get more secrets because I need them. And that's the only way you're going to get these. And he never even had the beginnings
Like
of those
any
thoughts.
moment. Yeah.
So it's not going to work out for him. He's facing a bad time after this. Don't think we'll be hearing from him again. He probably won't be seeing any more nudes for the rest of his life.
No.
Unfortunately.
Ugh.
And finally, this is a great story. The headline is great, but then when you read the story, it just gets more and more insane because of the things that are here when this is not.
Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam no longer have guns in the new Looney Tunes cartoons. Well, I mean, what's going to blow up in his face then? That's funny.
Well, they point out TNT, dynamite, and falls from great heights, totally cool. In fact, they doubled down on those to replace the guns. Elmer Fudd is using a scythe to chase Bugs Bunny now.
Which is kind of dark.
Being carved with a farm implement, far less violent than a gun. What about the gag?
There's also a picture of him carrying a plunger on the New York Times article.
Oh, we're looking at CNN, Krista. What are you reading?
There's a link to it. Said in an interview with New York Times. Bugs Bunny is back. And then there's video.
But what about there were so many good gags that were based around guns. There was when Daffy Duck would get shot and his bill would spin around his head. And then there would be like, his bill would be full of buckshot holes, and then he would spit out the buckshot and give it back to him. And there was you could put your finger in the Yosemite Sam's pistol, and it would blow up in his face.
Yeah.
Guns always worked out against the gun owner.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the message that these people want to spread?
You would think. I mean, that would be nice. But, yeah, no, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, this the clip on the New York Times article, it's literally just dynamite all the way down.
Yeah, they point that out in this article. It's weird, though. I was not aware that they were redoing Looney Tunes.
Well, it was really successful a long time ago.
Yeah, but so much has changed. Remember, like, Bugs Bunny would do, like, the transgender stuff? You think that can fly?
Pepe Le Pew definitely can't fly.
Oh, Pepe Le Pew
yeah.
was
I loved
such a
Pepe Le Pew when I was
racist.
a kid. I wanted him to find someone so bad.
How about Foghorn Leghorn? Foghorn Leghorn was thinly veiling the criticisms of that little boy as calling him gay. Because there's one, it's like, he finds out the kid doesn't play baseball, and he's like, oh, something ain't right about a boy that don't play baseball. You know? I think we all know what he was saying.
Well, I for one look forward to our new, more inclusive Bugs Bunny.
I don't know that anyone really... other than Pepe Le Pew, I didn't really like Looney Tunes that much when I was a kid. I don't know any kids younger than me.
What about Speedy Gonzales?
He just banned. Like, he's going to the same place the Song of the South people went. We're never going to speak of that again.
I might have to check that out just to see, just to anger myself about what they've done to my childhood.
Remember his cousin Slowpoke Rodriguez? It's just like,
like looking back on that,
yeah.
It's so crazy how much time things have changed in such a short period of time.
All right.
Well, that's
Thank
all
you
we got
all.
this week.
Store at level1text.com clearance. We'll see you.
Krista,
Hopefully everything's still not on fire by the time this airs.
Krista, in honor of Looney Tunes this week, why don't you give us a "That's all, folks"?
Well, that's all, folks.